Jodi Wagner. I am an engagement manager at Blue Wolf. What that means, because it sounds like a really strange title, I have 1 foot in sales, 1 foot in delivery. I help scope, and then I'm responsible for clients afterwards. It's sometimes really fun and sometimes really not fun. Yes, I'm a Salesforce MVP. I'm also the founder and co-leader of the London Women in Tech, and I also have a little program with Care Bowden called Speaker Academy, if you've ever heard about it. If you haven't, it's a you have. I think you're signed up.
I even invited once your read.
Yes, we have quite a list, and we're going through a whole curriculum redevelopment as we're moving online. So if you don't know, it's a 6-week program to learn how to build slides, do public speaking, all this kind of stuff. That's me on Twitter, and I have 2 blogs, which I don't have any time to update lately. So we're going to be, you guys wrote out field service lightning, and one of the things I love to say is FSL is not field level security, because people always get those kind of confused. So we're going to talk about field service lightning. There's my forward-looking statement. If anybody's playing the game, drink. We're going to talk about field service, and this is my first time giving this presentation, which has 3 dimensions. We've got slides, video, and an itty-bitty bit of a live demo, so bear with me. You guys are kind of like my testing ground. But if you have any questions, feel free to just chime in. Anybody heard of field service before?
Yeah. Yep.
Great. We're not starting at ground zero. Okay, so field service is really all about workforce management. So, and it could be a little bit different from this, but if you think about it in the way of delivery services. So you order something off of Amazon Prime Now. I like Prime Now because it's a great way to say, ooh, I really need, whatever this thing is, and I need it in 2 hours, and I'm going to be here at 8 o'clock to get it. And you can actually pick that time. So that is from a community perspective, so if you were online and doing it yourself. But then there's the other dimension of it. So if I were to call Amazon, which I'm not even sure you could call Amazon, I think only if you have a complaint. So if I were to actually call somewhere and say, I've got an issue with a shower, or I'm just kind of thinking some of my current clients that do a lot of showers and bath fittings and stuff. So, I'm trying to have my plumber install something and it doesn't work. Can you send somebody out? This isn't working. So this is your use case where they're calling the contact center. They're taking an inbound order, and what's happening is that they're scheduling a job for someone to go and to fix their shower. So what ends up happening, and there's multiple ways you can do this, but it pops up a calendar. When can I send somebody out to you? I can do a full day appointment, half day appointment. There's a lot of ways to slice and dice that, but we're going to go over that in a bit. Then you've got a second person who is really kind of looking at a Gantt chart and managing that time. Because overall, as a company, you want to be effective and efficient, right? So you don't want to have people just kind of hanging around going, yeah, okay, when's my next job? I'm just going to go and get a coffee for 3 hours. So that's what the dispatcher does. They're constantly moving jobs around, and they're making sure that they're really making that job scheduling work perfectly. The last person is your field technician. That's the person that's going to go fix the shower. Make sense so far? Wanted to get the people in there. So to give some more context, I've been dealing with 2 different types of customers. Ones that have used a type of field service. There's a few different ones. I'm working with a client right now that's been doing it in SAP. How much do we love SAP? So this is already going to start down here. So I've got those clients, and I've got clients who have never had anything. It might have just been, hey, I got a lawn that needs to be fertilized over down there. You want to go and see that person. So I've come at it from a couple of different perspectives. So what we want to do is try to make sure that everybody has that visibility into what's going on, right? So from your customer service rep who's like, yep, somebody's coming to fix your shower, fertilize your lawn, whatever they're doing, I can see from a customer service perspective what's happening. So that way we don't have any more siloed teams and processes. we're able to schedule that work efficiently, and then we're able to give mobile capabilities to the field techs. I mean, those are win-win-wins if you ask me. But, you know, I drank the Salesforce Kool-Aid. So we talk a little bit about the field service engagement journey, and this is where you kind of start somewhere, right? So when we talk about Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, we always talk about like building an MVP and how do we kind of keep building and scaling off of that. Field service is no different, right? You want to be able to get that visibility, contain the costs, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you start to kind of like go up this value chain to get business impact. Because at the end of the day, you want to look at the different dimensions. And it sounds really weird, but we ask these questions all the time in workshops. Do you want to be so customer friendly that you give 1 hour appointments, so every, you know, from 10 to 11, 12 to 1? Or do you want to say, you have a full day block. If you want it in 4-hour chunks, maybe you pay a little bit extra for that service. Or if you want it down to 1-hour chunks, maybe that's worth something to you because you're really busy and you're gonna be willing to pay for that service. Because the tighter you get those time frames, the more expensive it is to you as a business. Does that make sense to people? Okay. Makes sense to you guys. No joke with clients are like, wait, what? Yeah. Wait, but we want to be customer service friendly. Yes, but not at the expense of just like handing over your money. So, I am going to do a quick video just because I had some issues with my SDO org here. I still have it though, so we're still going to do some stuff. And I keep shutting. I will start it again because I apparently don't know how to, you know, change the volume on my computer.
It's not on the screen. A map or a calendar. Select any service appointment to see more information.
It should be.
On desktop 4. Check the parts required.
Yep.
You're just testing.
I'm testing everything. This is my night to test things.
Using any navigation map. Mobile employees can review the steps to complete.
Still not there.
Updating the status along the way. It's easy on the PC. And for additional support.
Everyone want to come around my PC? It's all right.
It's still not main screen.
Yep. I'm hitting.
Capture the customer signature and include it in a full service report. Instantly share it.
I know. It's like a whole test to present here. Can you guys hear it?
Faster, more personalized, on-site service to your customers. Your mobile employees can view all their service appointments in a list, a map, or a calendar. Select any service appointment to see more information about the job. Check the parts required. Or get directions to the location using any navigational app. Mobile employees can review the steps to complete the job, updating the status along the way. And for additional support, they can collaborate with other employees and access relevant knowledge articles. Track parts needed for any job, and even scan equipment or product barcodes. Capture the customer signature and include it in a full service report. Instantly share on the appointment record and send to the customer. And the mobile app works regardless of connectivity. When you're back online, it seamlessly updates in the background. Support agents can book appointments for the work order, where they can access a case feed, milestones, and knowledge. Or customers can easily book their own appointments in the customer community. Dispatchers can view and manage all scheduled appointments in the dispatcher console, coordinating any type of mobile resource. Or use MapView for real-time oversight of all field operations, whether you have 3 or 3,000 mobile employees. You can even view how all your resources in the field are being utilized. And managers can track key customer and employee metrics to ensure your field service operation is efficient and productive. Deliver intelligent, connected, on-site service with Field Service Lightning from Salesforce.
I felt like the video was going to probably say it all better than I was going to say it at that moment. So, Now, the fun stuff. We talked a little bit about the user personas and who is going to be using field service, right? So we've got our customer, we've got, keeps doing that. We've got our customer, we've got our service agent, our dispatcher, and our field technician, and how all those people work together in terms of field service. So when we look at the core model, right, so we have our account, our case, and our asset, and that links to the service appointment. Then we have our work type, service resource, skill, territory, operating hours, etc. And I'll explain how this all kind of hangs together. So in the example that I gave about, I needed to fix that. Don't take a picture of that. In our example that we're getting a shower fitted, or we have a part that needs to be fixed, so we'll stick with the plumbing one because that's one of my clients. I'm a customer in the system. They log a case that something's not working right. So as a customer service rep, I'm going to offer a service appointment. It's going to have a work type. And what happens there is it then gets assigned to a service resource. So we'll say, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Paul. We'll say Paul is my field engineer. Now we know that Paul has specific skills. So I look at Paul's record and I know that he could fix that shower. He has those certifications and he has those specific skills. Right, so he's a great person for that repair. Is it in his service territory? That's an interesting one. Again, from an efficiency perspective, we like to do fuzzy boundaries. Because if you set a hard boundary and you have an appointment here and you have a service technician here, you can't cross it if you set hard boundaries. So we like to talk about fuzzy boundaries when we talk about this. Is he in the right service territory? Yes. During the hours that he's working? Yes. Well, then we're going to assign him. And as long as he's not absent on that day and he has capacity, he gets moved into the Gantt chart and he gets scheduled to come and service my shower. That makes sense so far?
How fuzzy do you make a boundary?
So you can make them where you have zero boundaries, and it's all based off of how far you are from one job to the next using your starting location and your ending location as, say, your home. So that way you're maybe making a big circle. But you can do the time tracking from each job so that you know if you're at, like, say, 4 o'clock is your last job of the day, you're going to be within the range of going back home. And that's what the scheduling can do for you. That fuzzy boundary thing makes sense to everyone? Okay. Paul told me to make this interactive, so I think that's the best way I can make it interactive. I'll keep asking questions. Again, service appointment, and then scheduling policy. We look at, again, which resource can do the job. We said Paul's got the certifications, he's got all the skills, he's good to go. Which resource is best based on company KPIs? Again, is he in my neighborhood? Does that make sense? Or maybe Andre's closer, and maybe Andre has the same skills and he should come and service that appointment and put that shower in for me. And this is what we mean by the fuzzy territories. Because if it's going to take longer for Paul to get to my house, that doesn't make sense. You're going to be in the neighborhood. That makes sense, even though, you know, if you have all the same skills, etc. Did I lose anybody there? Okay. I guess a good dinner makes everybody on point. We should probably do that in London and stop serving pizza. I think they fall asleep during our talks. So features and functions, what does it do? And I've got some slides, and I do have a little bit of a live demo. Excuse me. So this is all the, sorry for the Salesforce people, but you know, the stuff that sells it. The other cool thing is that you can do IoT. You can connect it with, oh, thank you. You can connect it with IoT. I know Barry Roberts did a talk at Surfforce. I think that's online where he connected it to IoT. So I would definitely look out for that one. But this is really the selling slide, like why you want to use it. But I'm going to flip over into some of the fun stuff. So it's 3 different license types, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but you have part that's platform, part that's a managed package, and that's really all around that Gantt chart, that dispatcher console, and then the mobile app. And I'm not going to go too far. I have it written down what they all do. I can share the slides with you guys afterwards.
Send it next to mine afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not an account exec at Salesforce, so I'm not going to talk to you about license types.
So we might get some hints at the end once the recording stopped of what numbers they might charge.
Not an account exec at Salesforce. I get to have that little bit of being agnostic. So, service appointment management, arranging and tracking customer visits. This is a lot of stuff. If you think about even just like a couple of years ago, trying to, if customers are like, oh, I need to be able to track appointments, etc., this would almost seem completely daunting if you were trying to build it. But FSL actually has this in where it takes, how long the arrival window is. You can actually set, like, if they're running late, if they call and they say they're running late, you could set all of these things in the service appointment. What they can only be there within like a half hour before the appointment. So like if there's some flexibility there and I can get there a little bit earlier, maybe the client's like, I cannot be there any earlier than 12. You can kind of build that into the tool. What I will say though is that the more stuff you build into the tool, the more complicated it gets, right? So if you're trying to be more efficient and being able to move things around at the drop of a hat, the more you put in there, the harder it's going to be. So in the dispatcher console, they look at the service appointments, and you create the service appointments at the work order line item, account, etc. level. You can also do inventory and part tracking. I'm going to talk about that a little bit after because we can use that same example of shower fittings. And you can also generate and send service reports. Lots of stuff in here. What you're essentially saying is that someone can call in, schedule an appointment, the dispatcher can schedule them for that appointment, send them out to your house, fix what needs to be fixed, and then they can also tick off what parts they've used in their van, send that back to home office because they might need a restock, and then generate and send a service report. Now, that's really geared if I'm coming to fix something. But there's a lot of different ways you can use field service, so don't get too hung up on that. Because if you think about it, this could be used for deliveries. This could be used for scheduling appointments at a doctor's office. So I don't want you guys to get hung up about all the things that it does, like you have to use all of those, because I like people to think outside the box. Am I still with everybody? Because I really want you to think about how I could use this, like how this may be applicable to clients that I talk to or maybe my own business. So service resource management. Where, when, what, for whom, how much. That's the way I like to describe this slide. So, from a dispatcher perspective, where am I sending my people? Where am I sending, if I've got somebody who's certified in all the things, do I want to send them on like a quick little, like, I just need to fix something small here, or do I want to wait for that resource to be available for some bigger stuff? So the job of the dispatcher in the old days is really kind of like looking at a job board and trying to figure all this stuff out. With the rules that you can build into Field Service Lightning, it actually helps you do this, right? So it's looking at, which resources are assigned to service territories, making sure they're available at specific times, what's happening, what skills do I need for this job, what skills does this person possess. And then preferences by work order accounts. You could have clients that are, precious metals like platinum clients, gold clients, etc. And then trying to actually do this via capacity. So I want to look at a particular schedule and see who's available. Also, I can note if they're contractors. Maybe, and if anybody in consulting here, how much more is a contractor to you than a regular full-time employee? A lot more expensive. So that gives you the opportunity to say whether or not somebody's a contractor and you want to use them for that particular job. You can also, I don't have it on the screen, but you could also do jobs where you create a crew, which is more than one person. So if it's a particularly difficult job that has to be done, you could have 2 or 3 people I still have everybody so far? Great.
I have a question.
Yep.
Do you need to be online all the time to run these processes, or is there offline mode?
So from what perspective? So from the dispatcher and the customer service rep, yes. From the field engineer, no. Nope.
No online or no offline?
You can, so I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit and talk about the mobile app. It's built offline first. So all the core functionality works, whether it's online or offline. There's some things that you're not gonna get offline, right? So if you set up drip feeding jobs, so you get you finish a job, you get an next job. So that push of work, you have to be online for that. But you can also schedule that so it's like you get 2 at a time. Some clients do it where the person gets their entire job for the whole day because of that. So one of our clients at Blue Wolf is BP. Anybody ever heard of them? Small little company? They're on oil rigs. They're on oil rigs, and their like tablets are in these like hugely encased things, and they don't always have connectivity. So you can set up the mobile app so it pushes what you need. There's a few things we'll talk about here, like using knowledge that you're gonna need connectivity for, but for the majority of it, you can actually work offline. Good? Cool. Okay, the dispatcher console. So I started to kind of build this out to kind of show you guys firsthand what this looks like. That's a lot of service appointments in there that I had to build. So I didn't actually build it and did a picture, and I've got a video. You can ask me why later. Maybe after I've had some alcohol, I'll tell you. So this is where you monitor your technicians, right? So here you're pulling information. Here's all of your appointments. And then you're looking through and seeing like how you can optimize it. So you can have the system automatically do it. You can also move things around. You can customize your view to see what you need to see. But again, this is the dispatcher view. As a customer service rep, you're not going to see this. As a field service engineer, you're not going to see this. Doesn't that look like fun? And as I was just saying, the optimize part. This is the big part, because it's going to, based off of the rules that you set, do this for you. Where you will move things around is when you have something come up, like client calls into your service center, I can't make the job. I have a client out in Wales who does like lawn fertilizing. And if it's a situation where the person goes to their home and nobody's there and they can't get to their lawn, then I can't do that one. You need to feed the next one to me so they can shift things around. But using that optimize, it's going to do the majority of this for you based off of what you've set up as rules.
So you can also like do auto scheduling in terms of, for example, we have machines which we need to do like yearly maintenance. Yearly maintenance, but those are not like high urgency. So I see something like you have recurring frequencies, so you could plan this yearly events.
Yep.
And then, for example, take the urgency incoming through the customer care, which are higher priority, and that can auto schedule high priorities over the repetitive priorities.
Yeah, so that's a really good use case, and I have that with a client right now where it's a big commercial company, and they have to go to like hospitals every year within a certain time frame because of they have to do yearly maintenance checks. So you can absolutely schedule those ahead of time, and they're going to be on the engineer's list. Of course, if that engineer decides to leave your company, you can always change that, but you get those set in there. And then the other jobs will kind of flow around. Because if you set those as that you don't want them to move, you can make sure that they're static and they won't move. It's not going to push things out if something urgent comes in. It's going to look for other resources to backfill that if you've got that static. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on that? That was a good question.
I'll broker that deal later.
What?
I'll broker that deal later.
Okay. Mobile. Because, I mean, does anybody actually use their computer anymore? If I can't do it on my phone, forget it. Except for this PowerPoint. It's on my laptop. So like I was saying before, it's built offline first. So that's your, sorry, I only have a rendition of an iPhone. But that's what your app looks like, right? So it's going to show you the service appointments, it's going to show you the work orders and the work order line items. And all that's really important because I need to know as a technician, Paul's coming to my house, Paul's installing a shower and he needs XYZ parts. So that stuff is important. So when Paul looks at his tablet or his phone, he needs to know what he's doing when he's coming to my home. If he gets stuck on what he's doing, he doesn't know what he's doing. Sorry, I'm not doubting you, but he might be skilled, I don't know. He can access knowledge, and I'll show a picture of that. We saw this in the video, the inventory management. So he uses, I don't know what I did when I was hooking up the shower. I broke the whole thing. He's putting in he's doing a supply and fit. He's doing an entirely new shower, so he needs to take that off of his van. Being able to record absences. He's supposed to come to my house, he calls in sick. I need to, as a scheduler, I need to know that. I need to put that in the schedule and reschedule everything out. It might be a situation where somebody doesn't come to me tomorrow, but as a dispatcher, they need to take Paul off the chart for that day. Why'd you call in sick? So that's really important. Or he goes on holiday, I don't know. He wins money and he says, I'm not doing this job anymore. Whatever reason, you need to be able to take them out of the resource mix. Push notifications, proof of service. So he comes to my house, he puts in the shower, you can see the invoice on the iPad. I can sign and say, yep, he did this is really great. And I can even, company branding can even be on there. So, any questions on that? I feel like if this was 2 years ago, we'd have been like, oh my gosh, we can't build this.
I've got one question. They're kind of probably coming towards the end, but
does it pertain to this slide? Does it pertain to this slide? No? All right.
How do you find it working in practice?
I think it's really great, actually. So it's working. So I'm just kind of thinking through like my clients where it's working really, really well. And one is, like I said, lawn fertilization. It's a really big company. It's all over the UK. And they're loving it because, but in terms of practice, what ends up happening, so real talk, I guess. You usually have all of your rules set up and how this is going to look in home office, right? So your corporate office, your HQ, they're the ones that do all the rules. As an engineer, you have a little bit more scrutiny because you can either, so whatever policies your home office sets up, it could be drip feeding work to you, or, I feel like if you didn't have those eyes on you, it probably is not, I can kind of like stop off, have a coffee, chat on the phone for a little while. But the way field service can schedule everything, it's probably going to be drip feeding you work, or it's going to be giving a very static schedule. Where that is good is if you're incentivized based off of how many clients you visit. So if you have to see X number of clients within a certain time frame, yeah, being able to get those jobs one after another, that's great for you. If that's not the culture in the company and it's a little bit like I only have to work 8 hours a day, it doesn't matter how many clients I go see, then you're probably going to have some challenges. So so I do a lot of change management with my field service techs. Because of the fact that it is generally a huge change. Now, when I started the talk, we talked about my greenfield customers where they've never had anything except for, hey, go fix this, as opposed to clients who have been doing this but have found it really difficult, right? So SAP is not the most forgiving of systems. So my client now, they're using this like monster spreadsheet with macros to track like bonuses and everything else because they can't actually extrapolate that from SAP. So that's something that they can, I know, crazy, right? You can't get it from SAP. So that's where field service works really well, and it's going to work for their business because they're incentivized to keep picking up jobs because they get bonused on that. The environment where that's not a thing, how do you keep people wanting to do their job, not slack off and all that other stuff? But, I mean, that's true in any company, right? Okay, so offline capabilities, to your point. It is built offline first. There's a number of different actions that you can do here. And when it is back online, these two will sync back up. So if you're looking at scheduling and work orders, files, you can actually see some of the knowledge articles where, for one client, we've done like flows where it has like troubleshooting guides that you wouldn't be able to get to. But when it's back online, it will synchronize. So anything that you're trying to get, so if you were to do, you know, the job report and you were kind of had the client sign off, you weren't actually connected to the internet, it's going to sync back up when you have connectivity. Sound good? All right. I'm going to keep going. ListView. I feel like this is probably a lot less exciting for you guys, but it does show the service appointments. It shows it, so you're looking at your tablet and you're going off on your day. You can see exactly what your service appointments are, how it's laid out. You can use the date picker to see what you have today, tomorrow. Again, depending on how the jobs are fed to you. If it's one at a time, that's not really going to be helpful, except for seeing what the next one you're driving to is. The map. Map is really important. So the street level routing is through Google. There's a couple of apps that also do a lot of really cool things where you can actually see like the little van driving down the street, like Glimpses, like an app exchange package that will let you do that. I've heard good things and bad things in terms of being able to actually track your van driver. Some people think that's a little bit creepy. I like to be able to see where the Amazon guy is and if he's almost to my house. But
so this is live for a customer as well? If you open up the API?
If you open up the API, like so if you do it, like you open it, expose it to a community, you could, and you would be able to see where they are. All of my clients are kind of like, do we want them to know where we are? And I'm like, well, you can only, when they're en route to your job, you enable that. Oh, then they're gonna see where they're coming from. So make that decision as you will. I guess people are afraid they're being tracked, which probably isn't, you know, far off the mark. You can get driving directions, Google, Apple, Waze. You can also just copy it to a clipboard. I used to use Waze. I don't use that one that much, but it's there for you if you want to. Quick actions. We've all heard of these, right? Right?
Who hasn't heard of quick actions?
Right. That's supposed to be, yes, we have. So your hard-coded actions, service report, edit, and open in Salesforce 1. But then you can also put new ones on here, right? So quick creates and updates, and you can change them based off of the record. So I feel like as a field service engineer, you have pretty much everything you need to kind of navigate quickly through Salesforce 1. We've come a long way in the last 5 years on Salesforce 1. And then the knowledge articles. Only knowledge articles that are attached to the work order line item will appear for now. So it will surface up the knowledge article that goes with that particular work order. So again, to my shower example, it's going to tell Paul how to install the shower. Hopefully Paul already knows how to install the shower since he's installing it. Inventory. This is a really good one. Working on this with a client right now, except they haven't figured out how to manage their inventory, so that's a whole different kettle of fish. If I am doing a job as a field service engineer and I take 3 parts off my van for this job, I can mark it, scan the barcode, and off that goes to, if it's SAP, gosh, I'm saying that word, that name too much. Wherever it's being stored, some guy with a spreadsheet somewhere, that's going to be basically taken off of what they have in their van stock, and that way they can send out whatever they need. So depending on how you're set up, We have clients where they have like lock boxes, like Amazon lockers, that type of thing, where they just go and all the parts they need to replenish their van are there. So that's really, so being able to track the inventory is really helpful. Also, flows which help you, so Paul's going to fix a shower and he needs part, I don't know, 9210. He doesn't have it, but 9211 is very similar and it can work at a pinch. So it kind of helps surface that up. It's like a next best action for parts.
Sometimes you need material for jobs like you need a crane or something. You need like a machine for the job. Could you do some planning on those materials as well? For example, we have like 5 cranes. We need to get the crane which is closest by. Like this kind of, you know, the situation use cases talk about. Like, for example, the lawnmower. I don't know. I need a lawnmower and there are like 5 available. I need to take the closest one. Mm-hmm. I need to plan that in as well. Like plan your materials in your engineers.
Yeah, so it helps. So if you have like so with one of my clients, they have like a list and they carry, I don't know, 5 of these, 10 of those, and the parts and the tools that you need to go along with it, right? So this is their stock. And as they take things out, so in terms of like the tools, you're gonna take those out and put those back in. But the stock you're leaving at the clients because you've done stuff with that. And you just kind of like scan it, take it out, and as the week goes on, you should have less and less stuff in your van, but it's gonna be replenished. So if I've got the use case right, that works. But in terms of, if we're using that flow where it's offering different replacement parts that will work, then you're gonna take those ones off the inventory. Did I get that use case right?
Well, I used to extend flows. But like, sometimes you don't need to plan only your people in the schedule.
You have to plan the parts.
Your bigger tools as well. Like this is small parts which are probably on stock and you put it in your van and ready to go.
Yes.
Sometimes when you need a big crane or like whatever big tools you need to plan those as well.
It's also a resource. Maybe it's not human, but it's also a resource.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and yep, that's another dimension of the scheduling. Yes, that's another dimension of the scheduling, right? So we look at the work order, we look at the work order line item, which should have like all the different parts that you're going to need to do that job. So if I send Paul out to install the shower and he doesn't have, and I don't put on there that he needs the shower and he shows up to my house, he's like, I'm here to install a shower. Well, do you have one? No, do you? No. That's not gonna work. So yeah, that's absolutely part of it. I have a client who's actually trying to, when they're taking the request in the service center, they're gonna schedule Paul, but they're actually going to ship the shower to the client so he doesn't have to carry it. He just gets to the client and just installs it. They're gonna try that one. We'll see how that goes. I'll let you guys know in a few months. But yeah, that's another big part, making sure they have everything that they need to do the job.
I guess the question is, it's not just a piece of stock that goes down, but it's a resource like a human is, the crane is. It
could be like a tool, like an asset.
A tool, yep.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's making sure you have all of those things to do the job. So, and that's, the crane is a good one. I feel like that's probably a little bit, that's probably a bit big.
Yeah, I can't be sure. You only have 5 and you need to use those 5 and that's it. You cannot just order a new one because it takes a year to order or something.
Yep. Yes. And we're working on some of that with a current client where it's lead time, right? So you need to order something specific. But then, and you can build this into field service, right? So you need 5 days to order that. So the appointment is not going to be able to happen until like 5+1 days. So you build that in, and that gets a little bit more complicated because you're having to look probably into wherever your inventory is. So like if I'm looking into, in my use case, I'm looking into SAP to see if I have any there because that's where my inventory tracking is. I look into SAP, I don't have any of that shower available, and I tell the client that's not expected to be in for another 10 days. So then I have to move that appointment out at least 10+1. If it doesn't come in the 10 days, then we have to move it again. But absolutely, that's part of the whole like planning and grabbing the right item.
Sorry, those parts, where are they stored? Is it like just products or assets, or is it actual new?
So that, yeah, it's the, no, it's the, let me go back to my, you guys are asking very good questions. And I'm making you guys sick by watching my slides go backwards. The last time we did a flavor of this talk, we didn't get anywhere near this many questions. This is great. Okay, so, actually I don't have it on here. The work order line item is not on here. After I went all the way through. Sorry, and I think I'm eating into Catherine's time now. Sorry, but you guys asked such great questions.
Catch the timing.
Sorry. We're almost done. I was going to do one more video, but I think the push notifications. So it's a work order line item, and on the work order, you can track the changes, push notifications. I feel like we all know what push notifications are. I'm going to skip that one. Service report, so basically just a job report of what you've done. You can see that there. You can build that in, get a customer signature. It goes back to Salesforce. The service report generation requires an internet connection. So if you get on somebody's Wi-Fi, you can get that to the mobile question up there.
You can store it and later if you have a connection.
Yeah, you can also, there's some app exchange packages which let you do like offline forms as well, offline dynamic forms. Coming, Einstein vision for FSL, being able to just do some more fun stuff. And I know we have some Salesforce people in the room, don't we? Is this?
We don't. Oh, we've got one. Yeah. We were expecting one other piece.
Okay. So this is Einstein for FSL. I don't have anybody that's even looking at this, so I haven't looked into it more than just, it kind of, you know, looks at like, it looks at something like how do we automate the parts, the order, so based off of this, you surface up this part, doing some of that. You know, it looks like you might need this part, doing some of that suggestions type of stuff. And then the IoT. I'm not going to step too far into the IoT, but there's your itty bitty crane. But I do have a customer that is going to start looking into the IoT. So the one that I talked about, like doing big commercial engagements where they're working with hospitals and councils and stuff, where they have gauges and they want to start tracking those. We just don't know if it's going to be in Salesforce or this other tool called ZetaSafe. So we're still working on that. But IoT. And that's really the end. I have another video on the scheduling if you want to see it. And I think we're out of time, so we're not going to watch it.
But we'll post the link to it later.
Oh yeah, we have links. I was going to try to show you like how you schedule it all online, but we saw it in the video. And it's going to take up more time, and I don't want to take up Catherine's time. Any other questions? Yeah?
Do you know any other companies that are using this in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, I don't, because I'm based in the UK. So I don't know anybody in the Netherlands. Do you know anybody?
We use in the Netherlands. Schneider Electric uses in the Netherlands.
Oh, great.
We've done a couple of implementations with
Nice. Our community has the answers.
I know. This is great because I gave my BP example, a couple other clients, but because I'm based in the UK, I'm UK focused. Sorry. Sorry, you guys can yell at me later.
Other questions? I've got one question. What's kind of the smallest implementation where it makes it? How many man days does the base? I guess the basic can be quite small because of these different elements, but I'm just trying to work out the scale when it becomes sensible.
So, like with anything, I'm going to give you the standard consultancy answer. It's how complicated you want to make it. So, I am currently doing an implementation for a client who, like I said, does lawn fertilization. They come out 3 times a year. They make your lawn look all pretty and green and all that stuff. I live in London. I have 0 lawn. I have a bunch of bricks, so I don't really care about them. But we did all of their FSL stuff in 1 sprint. That was a 2-week sprint. what we built for them. So, I mean, that's not the end of the project, right? So we built core Salesforce, so your accounts, your contacts, cases, etc. But we built out for them the work order, line items, the work orders, the service, all that stuff. We built that out. They are doing knowledge in a different sprint, so that part wasn't built out. We also did, they like to call them the flow to end all flows kind of thing. It was just this gigantic flow that kind of said, you know, if you start filling out the things like, is it this, is it that, is it this, it kind of like popped you to like, if you said no, it popped you to question 9. If it was yes, it popped you to question 2, and it does all this crazy stuff. They got really excited about flow. And that took us roughly 2 weeks to build. But that's with good requirements, right? Understanding your business, understanding what you're trying to do. And I know I just said the magic words. Good requirements. But we spent a couple weeks with them trying to figure out what they wanted to do, what they were trying to get to. And they're also doing it in a bit of an iterative process. Like, they're not going crazy. They're not doing a ton of things. They want to see how it works. And the way I generally structure programs and projects is the next phase, I do like a look back. What do we need to tighten up? What's working? What's not working? Because to me, I don't ever see Salesforce as a one and done. You should be constantly improving and iterating on it, because with it changing 3 times a year, I know I don't have to, and I'm speaking to the choir, but you can't just like set something up and then walk away and expect 10 years later it's like still working exactly as you needed it to. I have financial services clients that do that though. So.
I'm going to wrap it up there,
Yep.
just because we've kind of crashed it by 20 minutes.
I'll make my other talk shorter.
No, luckily we can go a bit later here, so I'm not terribly worried. Sorry for anyone.
You had me